So we've created our apples in a bowl. Let's have a look at a brick wall. Brick wall is slightly more complex. I'm going to collapse this collection, and I'm going to call it apples, and make a new collection. New scene collection, which is going to be this icon over here. We don't want to do it inside the selected collection. There we go. And I'll call this bricks. If I hide apples, however, you can see when I hit render, I don't see anything. Not the apples, not anything, because I've disabled the camera as well as everything else. I'm going to drag into collection 3. And there we go. Right, so now I've got the camera and the light and the camera target in collection 3, which I'm going to call camera. And I'm going to hide apples. Right, let's just hide these. They'll still render. And in bricks, I'm going to hit Shift-A, add a cube. And this cube is going to be 1_brick.000. We want to be very careful when we're doing physics simulations, and I wasn't so much with the bowl and the apples, though you'll notice I was actually noting the fact that the bowl was 1 meter across and the apples were 0.4 of a kilogram each and so on. But with something like bricks in a wall, we do need to be careful to use actual values, actual measurements. So we go to scene, again kind of the Christmas tree scene, a little tree and the bauble and the star. We want to go to units. Currently it's metric, 2 meters. It used to be blender units, but let's go to imperial units. And here it's 6.56 feet. Click on separate units, 6.67 inches, so 2 meters. And you can see this is going to be a big brick. So we want to reduce the size of the brick to probably 8 inches, 0.203 meters, and somehow I've just lost my imperial again. There we go, 0.667 feet, 8 inches. Right, there we go. So there's our brick, and it's 8 inches. I'm going to hit the home key to bring it into the middle of the scene. And you can see this is a little twitchy. Blender doesn't really like to be operating this close in. And I'm going to scale it and then bring in the right-hand fine using the N key. And the size, the Y size is going to be 4 inches. The Z height is going to be 3 inches. So there's our brick. And we need to normalize it, 111. Okay, let's make it a little more realistic. We'll add a bevel to it. So we can bevel it either directly or we can use a modifier. Let's use a modifier. Modifier, bevel. And that looks terrible. So we'll reduce the width, 0.2 of an inch. There we go. Let's look at it here. And you can see because we had a normalized scale, these all look the same. So it's a nice even bevel all the way around. And we'll just say that we have segments are going to be 3. And then I'll right click, shade smooth. There's our brick. Good enough. Let's go to material. What's our material going to be? It's going to be 1_brick.000. Bring that down here. It's going to be a diffuse BSDF, and the color is going to be a bricky material, which is probably slightly desaturated, fairly dark, going towards the brownish hue, something like that. Right, so there's our brick. And if we want to see the color, again, look dev mode is where we'll do that. All right, so there's brick 000. Let's use another modifier. I'm going to click on it and go back to modifiers, array. Array, by default, arrays along the x-axis. We can see it's arraying with a relative offset of 1 along the x-axis, and that means that whatever the x distance is, it will array them at that distance. I'm going to make it 1.01 just to give it a little space. We don't want things to be too close in physics simulation. How many do we want? Let's make it 8. There we go. So there are 8 bricks. I'm going to stack these up now. But before I do that, I want to apply this array modifier so that I've got separate objects. We want to be in object mode, apply array. I need to go, it's a single object, but it's 8 separate meshes. I need to go into edit mode, make sure everything is selected, and hit P. P, separate by loose parts. Now we've got our 8 bricks. Brick 000 up to brick 007. Okay, let's go back out into object mode. But let's look at these bricks for a moment. I'm going to select one. Where is the origin point? The little orange dot is in the middle of the brick. Very good. Let's choose this brick. Where is the origin point? It's in the middle of the first brick. Not so good. Let's choose this one. The origin point is still in the middle of the first brick. So that's not going to give us a very good simulation. We need to make sure all of these bricks have the origin point in their geometric centers. The way we do that is we go to Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. So Object, Set Origin, Origin to Geometry. And now look at that nice array of orange dots all the way along. So all of these will now behave in a reasonably realistic manner when they're subject to a rigid body simulation. Right, let's select them all and go to front view. Shift D, something like that. Shift D, Shift D, Shift D. So now we've got 40 bricks. Let's get rid of those, and those, and that, and that, and that, and that. These are all going to be active objects. So when I select them all, we're going to make a physics simulation, and these are going to be rigid bodies. They're going to be active. Oh, what's going on here? None of these are now active rigid bodies. Only that original selected one is the active. So we need to do something else. We need to select all of these bricks, make sure that this active brick is the last one selected, if necessary by deselecting it and selecting it again, and then hit F3 for search, and we're going to search for copy rigid body settings, and it will copy the rigid body settings for the active object to all the selected objects, and now you'll see all of these are active rigid bodies. So that is really very useful. Make sure you select all your active bodies, or all the bodies that you want to be active rigid bodies, and then finally select an active rigid body, hit F3, go to search for copy rigid body settings. And that's probably on a menu somewhere, but I haven't found it yet. And then you copy everything over from the active object. Put a ground in, Shift A, Mesh, Plane, and I'm going to scale this up, and I'm going to hit Control A to apply that scale. Let's go to a front view, -Y, and just move it down. One thing that's very important is you can't have things intersecting in a physics simulation, or weird things happen. So this is going to be our passive object. Rigid body, type passive. Now we'll start to animate this. We'll just hit play, the space bar. Not too clever. We've got a brick wall here, but this is a brick wall that's suffered a good deal. It could probably work in some circumstances, but it's not what we want for our fine simulation. So let's go back here and consider how we can change this. One thing is that this is quite a rough and rapid simulation. Let's go to the scene. Rigid body world. This is now checkmarked. It's now enabled. So we're in the scene tab again, where we chose our units. Rigid body world. Steps per second and solver iterations. This is being evaluated 10 times, 60 times a second to see what happens. A lot of problems happen this way. I'm going to turn the steps per second up to 300 and the solver iterations up to 50. And now let's play this again. See how much more accurate that is. So these bricks have now settled and they haven't bounced around. This is how we want the simulation to start, not like this. So go to a point in our simulation where we're happy with the arrangement of the bricks, select them all, and hit Control A again, but this time Visual Transform. In other words, we're going to settle everything in the exact position it appears to be in at this particular point in the animation. Control A, Visual Transform. And now we've got a brick wall which is nicely settled, but all of the bricks are active. Select our plane, Shift D, R, X, G, Y, move it back. So now we've got an angled plane that we can put a ball on and let it roll down and hit the wall. Let's go to a side view. Side view X. Oh, and again, I can't see the plane, but we'll just guesstimate this. Shift A, Mesh, Icosphere, probably take it up to 4 subdivisions now. Make it smooth shaded. G, put it there. Okay, and then G, Y, G, Z. It doesn't matter too much if it has to drop a little bit onto this plane. This plane, because we used Shift D, is a passive object, just like the original. And we'll make this rigid body active. All right. And we're going to give it a new material. And that material is going to be, make it blue. There we go. And then let's go to Look Dev to see. Oh, it's a subsurface color. Subsurface is for subsurface scattering. So we don't have that enabled, so we don't see any color there. One thing we can do, if we like a color and we want to copy it, is hover the cursor over it, Control C, and then hover the cursor over another value box, Control V. And it will actually copy a color, or it will copy a value. Right, let's see what happens now when we let things roll, literally. Not a lot. All right, well, let's go to the top view. Z here, go back to the beginning, get this slightly more accurately located. And also, we'll go into physics simulation, and let's increase the weight. It's only 2 pounds. It's the same weight as a brick, so that's not going to work. I'm going to take this up to 32 pounds. So let's animate this again. All right. So now this looks like something that might be useful. So I can actually scrub back and forward, and we can see what we've got. So the wall stops the ball, but the ball knocks down the wall, or at least it makes a hole in it. Doesn't make too much difference to the bricks at the end. Let's see what happens now if we increase the weight of the ball even more. So 108 pounds. This is a serious medicine ball here. So now we can see it smashes right through the wall and disappears off through the edge of the table. It makes that much difference to the animation.